Okay, now we're going to talk apples. Apples is another one of those fruits that if you have a tree, or maybe a friend or a family has trees, you can end up with large quantities, and you want to be able to find a way to preserve them. In our house, an apple is an apple. We're not really particular of what kind of variety it is. If we're blessed with a large quantity, we go ahead and take time to can them. To start the process of canning an apple, you need to first peel and core your apple, and then you do need to put it in a solution that will prevent it from darkening, because apples do change colors pretty quick. So it is 2 tablespoons of salt and 2 tablespoons of lemon juice to a gallon of water to prevent them from darkening. The lemon juice for this one was simply from a lemon. We don't use a lot of bottled lemon juice in our house, so you can just grab a couple lemons from the store and juice it and put it in the water. After you have removed the peeling, the skin, and the core from your apples, go ahead and rinse them off out of your solution, the lemon juice solution. They also have manufactured prepackaged kind of solutions that you can get at the market. After you've rinsed your apples off, you need to place it in your syrup. And you can make a light or a medium syrup for your apples using the recipe on the screen. And once you get the apples in the syrup, you need to bring them to a boil for 5 minutes. After it's boiled for 5 minutes, and while it's still hot, go ahead and ladle your apples into your jar using a wide mouth funnel and adding syrup along with it. You do not need to be draining the syrup out as you go, because we will continue to fill the jar with remaining syrup. As it gets a little close to the top, go ahead and just shake your jar and try to get any air gaps and have the apples fall into place. You can go ahead and push them down. You don't want to waste any space in your jar. There, I think that's all the more apples we can fit in there. Taking it just to the bottom of the ring. And then we'll go ahead and fill the rest of it with your hot syrup. Sliding a knife down the side of your jar will remove any air gaps. Take your moist paper towel and wipe along the top of the jar. This will remove any particles so that your jar will seal. You add your flat to the top and your ring. Get it on there square, there we go, and a nice tight snug. To process your apples, it's a little different than the pressure canner, where you watch the pressure gauge get to a certain level, to 10 pounds, and then start timing. You hot water bath apples, which means you put it in a pan or a pot that has a water level just above the top of the jar. For apples, you process your time after it begins to boil. So after it begins to boil, you let it boil for 20 minutes. This is a pot that already has a jar of peaches in it from the previous segment. The peaches process for 30 minutes, but that's what's neat about hot water bath. You can combine 2 different times and just remove one when it's done. So I'm going to add apples to the same hot water bath. After it's boiled for 20 minutes, I will remove my apples and let the peaches continue for its full time. Just almost overflows on that. So now we have 2 jars in this stock pot that we'll put on the stove. Once they begin to boil, we'll start the time, 20 minutes for apples and 30 minutes for the peaches. Though this seems to be maybe a lot of work for just 1 jar of fruit, you would have a batch of more jars in your pan, so you would want to get a pan big enough to be able to hold numerous jars. But it is still worth our time in the Rozendaal house to at least even can 1 or 2 jars when you have the abundance of fruit. Okay, the timer has just went off for our jar of apples. Remember, we put it in the hot water bath with the peaches. Hot water bath, you can remove the lid and remove jars as needed. So I went ahead and removed using jar tongs. It's very hot, obviously, and these grip on very nicely. So using jar tongs, remove it from your hot water bath. Once this cools, you know, it looks like there's no noise now, but I don't believe it's fully sealed. As it fully cools down, you'll hear a popping noise, and that way you'll know your jar is fully sealed.